of. Alright, so as far as your selfie project goes, notice that I'm beginning to make the collection of my pictures. I am way short of what I need. Right now I have my self-portrait, and then I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 other pictures that are a part of this. So I need a lot more pictures. I need at least, I'd say, 9 or 10 more pictures on this project. So obviously it's a work in progress. There's that awesome lady. Yeah. So notice that I have selected those pictures from the other pictures and I have moved them to my selfie project. Once I moved my pictures to my selfie project, then I'm going to start doing some scaling and some layering. So I've scaled them, I've layered them on top of each other. I obviously have a lot more to do because I have a lot more pictures that I need to work with. But just for an example, let's go ahead and take a look at how we begin to blend things. We've used the scaling. I've made the flower bigger than the woman. I've made this little bunny bigger than the woman. I've made me the biggest thing on there. I've made the picture of this important building in my life. That's my home, folks. Thank you. And I've made it a little bit smaller so I could put it in kind of the background. And obviously I have more pictures to go. So I'm kind of done with my scaling and I'm kind of done with my layering. We know that I have more pictures to go. How do we begin to blend things? There are several different ways to blend things. If you'll notice on today's board, I talk about blending using the blending mode options, which we learned about 2 days ago. We put a screen on that lady. That was one blending mode option, and we saw there were several others there to choose from. There's also the use of opacity, making things transparent. So transparent settings using the opacity, and I'll talk about that. And then there is the use of the eraser using a soft edge brush and a decreased opacity for that soft edge brush. So I talk about a soft erase. The first thing I want to show you are the blending mode options. These are probably the most important way you're going to be blending things together. Okay? Some students choose to have like a color theme throughout their project. If you remember the first example that I showed you, there was kind of a purplish theme that was throughout the whole project. And then the girl that had the like Russian nesting dolls and the dream catcher, she had kind of a yellow theme going throughout the whole thing. There's a couple of different ways to do that. You could use what we learned yesterday, or 2 days ago. We could use the Create New Fill adjustment layers. And you could do a hue adjustment layer over top of the whole project when you're done if you want that color to pull through. Or you could just set a color into the background, and you'll notice in my layers palette that I have in fact set a color into my background because green's my favorite color and I really wanted it to pull through my whole project. And then Matrix is one of my absolute favorite movies, and so I kind of just put the Matrix in as a background kind of a picture to pull that green through as well. First of all, I think my Matrix is way too strong. It's pulling too much focus. So I want to take focus off of the matrix and just leave it as something in the background. So I'm going to click on my matrix layer. And in this case, I think I'm just going to go up to my opacity and reduce its opacity, making it more transparent. Okay? And the green behind it starts to really pull through stronger on it. The next thing I think I'm going to do is I'm going to work on the flower in the top left-hand corner because right now it's pulling almost all of the focus. And the focus needs to be on the self-portrait of me. So I'm going to work on the flower now. I'm going to go up to the blending mode options for that. You can just like click on each one and keep going back and forth to see which one you like. But there's a little bit easier way. As soon as you click on the first one, just keep your mouse over in that area and then use your finger scroll. And you'll slowly but surely scroll through them. I think that one looks pretty cool. You really see the green and you really see the matrix show up through it. You can still see the flower there. I think that's a pretty cool look, but I'm not sure I like it. That one's cool. You can see the flower. I almost think it's too dark though, and I'm afraid it's going to steal a lot of attention being so dark. But I might keep that one. So I'm going to hold multiply in the back of my mind as a possible choice. Definitely not. Not going to use any of those. There again, it's way too bright. taking too much focus. Oh, that one's pretty cool. An overlay. You can still see all the depth and the detail in the flower. The green from the background is pulling through. The matrix from the background is pulling through. I might stick with that overlay. I kind of like that one a lot better than the multiply. Soft light. Well, I kind of like that one too. I definitely don't like that one. It's taking too much attention away from the focus. And remember, the focus is always going to be you. Well, that one's kind of nice, but I just think it looks like a blob now. So I'm going to leave it up there with the soft light or the overlay. I think I'm going to go with soft light because it decreases the focus on it. That's just me. Now I'm going to jump down to, I don't know, let's say the building in the background. Okay? For the building in the background, I might go with one of these ideas so I can just start exploring with them. That's pretty cool. I can see the building back there, but I think it loses too much focus. But that's just me. So I'm going to scroll through and check the different ones out. Well, that's kind of cool, but I think it steals a lot of focus off the bunny. Well, that's not too bad. You see the matrix background pulling through. You see the green pulling through. You can still see the building, but it's not stealing all of the focus. I might stay with a lighter color. Ooh, overlay looks pretty awesome. I think I'm going to stick with the overlay. You understand how you kind of explore and experiment until you find what you like? So that's the blending mode options. And I also showed you one example of the opacity, reducing the opacity and increasing, therefore, the transparency. The only problem with using the opacity too much is it creates kind of a grayish hue to your project. And then your project starts to look drab, kind of dreary. And I don't think that's what you're going to want. So don't overuse the opacity as an option for blending. Most of what you're going to want to use is the different blending mode options. Most of what you're going to want to use. So I'm going to ask you to really think about these, and if you're not finding anything that really works for you, then you might think about the opacity. Is it okay to use a blending mode option with a decreased opacity? Absolutely. Explore, experiment. That's the only way you're going to make this project stand out and look phenomenal when you're done. One other way I want to show you that you can use to cause things to kind of blend in with each other. Some things that are on top so that you can see what's below it, and some things that are below it so you can see what's on top of it. Okay? So another blending mode option is, and I don't recommend you use this very often, but you could use a soft erase. So for example, I want this self-portrait, this picture of me, okay, I want it to allow a little bit of the things behind it to show through it. So I might just take a soft eraser and whoops, I'm on the wrong layer. Get on that right layer. I might just take my soft eraser and do a very quick erase. I think that's too much. So what do? I just decrease my opacity a little more. Just a quick, why does it keep switching? Just a quick erase. Yeah, that's much better. I like that better. Okay? And I start to blend him in with the background a bit. So my focus is on my bunny, but from my bunny, you can tell that it begins to go off into the other areas of the picture. Obviously, I still have more to work on. I have to work on this layer. I have to work on this layer. I may be reordering my layers. There are a couple of different ways to reorder your layers. One of those is over here. Switching the order of your layers in your layers palette can be a very effective way of creating a totally different look out here. Another way of switching your layers, as I'm pointing to up on the board today, making items larger and smaller for scaling and for layering items one on another in both the layers palette and in the actual workspace. You know, dragging things and changing where they're being placed. Here it's on top of her, here it's under him. If I don't like that, I can just drag them into a different order. Now he's on top of him. So there's multiple ways to work with your layering. Okay? All of that is you experimenting.